Care vor fi joburile viitorului, ce abilități caută angajatorii la tinerii absolvenți, ce fac marile companii cu datele noastre și cum ne protejăm de conținutul posibil dăunător de pe rețelele de socializare. Am încercat să aflăm răspunsurile de la managerul care gestionează relațiile guvernamentale și de politici publice ale TikTok. Lucas Kapler a venit în România să lanseze, împreună cu ONG-ul Școala de Valori, o competiție de idei pentru schimbarea educației, astfel încât să-i pregătească mai bine pe tineri pentru joburile viitorului.
How do you see the jobs of the future within the next 10 years? What do you think they will be?
This is a very good question. I mean, we are observing right now how both the climate crisis as well as the technological revolution, they influence our societies, economies, and the way how we work. We know how, some basic technological solutions that we have introduced during the couple of, past years into our daily working routines have changed the way how we look at the work that we do. So this was just the beginning of the shift that we are going to experience in terms of, some of the areas of the economy being really affected by this process of adaptation of the new technologies and the macro trends that we are observing. We know that the impact of this technological revolution on the economy is going to be net positive, but still there might be and there are some kind of areas of the economy that might be significantly disrupted in terms of the jobs that they offer. This includes media, entertainment, agriculture, transport. So we really need to think about how to future-proof our careers, about the skills that we need to be able to operate on the market. And those skills are essentially digital skills. And that's why also we've come up with this idea of the Future Jobs Gap project, just to let the young people to understand how the future market would look like and what kind of skills they need to be equipped with when they will start working in 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah.
The job market is advancing fast because technology is advancing fast, but education usually falls behind. If you were to look at the profile of a young student today, what are the skills that they would need to have in order to enter the job market now and be ready for these changes? And how much does the education system throughout Europe, let's say, actually prepare them for this?
I think this looks differently on different markets in Europe. It's of course difficult to compare those systems, how well they are prepared for the future jobs markets that are going to exist. From the point of view of the company, of the TikTok, I mean, we know where we are developing in terms of the areas, that are interesting for the companies. E-commerce, cybersecurity, the issues around the content moderation, AI, machine learning. Those are the areas where where our company is developing, and I think that there will be great need for skillful employees, in the future. The area of technological companies is not the only one that's going to be affected. I mean, we talk about the educational area, about the health, about the agriculture. I mean, there is a lot of changes that are going to happen. Some researchers that we already know say that 9 in 10 jobs are going to be affected in terms of the new digital skills. Do you know that the formal educational systems are not always offering the best curricula, so I mean for the people to later on get those skills that will be needed on the job markets. That's why the businesses and we are actively involved in providing those kind of projects and education for the young people.
What would a social media company need from its employees?
There are so many areas where we work in the big companies and the social media companies like ours. I mean, you need people who understand how the technology works. That's for sure. I mean, cybersecurity, the moderation issue, but also language specialists. I mean, they are very important in terms of providing the solutions that allow later on, for example, for the moderation technologies to work efficiently. So there are many different skills and areas and people with different skills that the companies need. Not only the IT specialists, also those who have the soft skills are needed.
Social media companies, and TikTok especially, have a particular impact on the young generation because they do use these social media platforms to educate themselves. And you have all kinds of content on these platforms. You have maybe teachers that have actual lessons where they teach children and young people various subjects. But you also have content that can be harmful. And in the past, there have been situations where this content had very tragic results. There was talk about, and there is talk about the way that the algorithm is managing the content that you are given. For example, if you start watching content that is sad or that is harmful, then the social media site will start feeding more and more of this content because it perceives that it generates views. Can you tell us a little bit about what the role of a social media company is in educating young people and in keeping them mentally healthy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, education of young people is extremely important. We want the young people to be able to think critically about what they see, also on our platform. So that's why we also run a lot of media literacy projects around Europe, just to enable those young generations to understand how properly use the social media. And we actually observe quite a lot of interest in this kind of educational initiatives.
And how are you dealing with the harmful content?
Harmful content is not allowed on our platform. So we are, as we said, and this is very clear on our guidelines. I mean, we remove this kind of a content. Almost 95% of all this content has been removed from our platform without even anyone being able to see it. We do have the systems which allow to disrupt the patterns of what kind of the videos do you see. The recommendation algorithm always proposes you not only the content which you have marked or indicated as being interesting for you, but also the content that it's somehow closely related to your interest, and there is also an additional kind of a video which is going to be proposed to you, which is like a completely random one. And this is how we ensure that, you know, that this kind of content, I mean, that you simply do not see always the same kind of the video on the screen, on this For You feed page that you have when you open the app. And then later on, we also have like the mechanisms which help some people that might be looking for harmful information or a harmful kind of a content on the platforms. I mean, those are like the mechanism based on different keywords. When you introduce them, then the system reacts and prompts a kind of an information and the screen on which you are giving an advice in form of, for example, if you are looking for a specialist that might help you in terms of your mental health, for example, you may contact this kind of an authority, this kind of a hotline. We also block some kind of a content automatically when some kind of phrases and keywords are put into the application.
What are you doing about politicians using the platform to advance their agenda? Because there have been such situations where politicians actually became rather well known and ended up getting a lot of votes, even though their message was very toxic, because it was constantly present on such social media platforms. Do you follow this kind of content, and are there any plans of perhaps limiting certain more extreme messages that are coming from politicians?
A paid kind of political content is prohibited on the platform and is proactively removed. Also, the political accounts, they form a special kind of an account on the platform, which are called, this is the abbreviation, GPPA accounts. So it means that those are like the government, politicians, and political accounts. They do not also have all the functions that the regular accounts have. We simply do not allow any kind of monetization on the platform for this kind of accounts on TikTok. So, but of course, there is a political discussion on the platform because some of the topics that are discussed by the politics are also interesting for our communities. And this is like why you might observe politicians being on our platforms. But it's more about being in touch with our community, discussing the important topics, rather than simply advertising yourself and in form of a political marketing. I mean, the content that is produced and presented by the politician on the platform is basically treated in the very same way as any other kind of the content. So, of course, it falls under our guidelines. And politicians need to also stick to our rules that we have, you know, what can be said, what can be shown, what can be done on the platform.
How do you monitor the content, or who monitors it? For example, someone uploads a video that is harmful. How do you know it has been uploaded? How quickly can you track it down? And how do you assess if it is harmful, or to what degree it has negative influence?
Okay, so the moderation process at our platform, it's built or based on two pillars. The first one is the automatic moderation. When you prepare the video and you want to upload it to the platform, it's first being checked by your AI systems. They are doing quite a good job in terms of removing the harmful content. But from time to time, I mean, of course, we find a kind of a nuance in the video that is still not yet possible for the AI systems to assess properly. And that's when the material is being moved to our human moderations team. So basically, people are looking at the video and checking whether this given content is a good one and can be visible on the platform. For example, if you see the Halloween decoration, sometimes it's difficult for the AI to discover whether this is just a decoration or whether this is a kind of a setting of a disturbing video material that might be posted. So sometimes the AI, and the system decides to move this kind of the video to our human moderation team, which can have a look at the video and assess it from the point of view of a human.
How do you become a moderator for videos at TikTok? Yeah, I mean, who are the people who are doing this? Who are the people who are reviewing them? And how do you come to be in this team? I mean,
so generally, globally, as a company, we have more than 40,000 of people who are working on our trust and on the safety of the platform. So the variety of the jobs that you might have within this area is huge. But if we go to these very moderators that have a look at the video, in terms of them reviewing it, they first of all, are local teams. So it means that they speak the language, in which the video was produced. And then secondly, you also need to have this understanding of the culture and of the country where the video is going to be posted. To be able also to moderate the videos effectively and according to our rules. So, those are like the very important two factors that influence on who might be the moderator of the content.
What kind of data do you gather from your clients, from the people who use TikTok?
The data that we gathered, we inform it on not only on the website, of the company when you can enter and see it. In terms of what type of data we gather. You also can check it when uploading the app through the Google Store or through the Apple Store. You might easily check that the number of the data that the TikTok collects is pretty limited in terms when you compare it to other social platforms. And that, it's very difficult to enumerate one by one, what kind of data that you collect. That's why the list is available for you to verify if you want to see it.
And what happens to this data?
It depends of what kind of the data do we speak. Because if it's data that is being protected, the very personal one, this data is being kept in a very safety environment, something what we call the European enclave for the data. It means that we have secure data storage centers where those data are being kept. and to which the access is very limited in terms of the people who might have a look at it. But there is a kind of the data which is a kind of a public one, like your video. If you want this video to be public and globally available, of course, I mean, the video is also a set of data. And this kind of the data is available, I mean, broadly and globally.
There has always been a lot of talk about how TikTok may be influenced by China and Chinese policies and such. What do you have to say about that?
TikTok is not a Chinese company, it's an international company, and I think that this is a fact that can be easily checked by many people, and we operate globally, as you've mentioned. We have offices around the globe, not only in Europe, where our headquarters is based in Dublin, but also in the US or, I don't know, in Paris, for example, or in Berlin. So this is the structure of the film, which has like this global kind of a character.